This video is inspired by my reading through the Love and Deepspace Reddit and honestly being absolutely amazed at the amount of details people are noticing, and it in return making me inspired to watch Caleb's myth again and seeing what else I can spot. By the way, I'm linking the most inspirational post in the description below as well as Caleb's myth and other videos related to him if you would like to dive into this hole yourself. Before we proceed, a disclaimer, there are obviously huge spoilers to Caleb's lore ahead. Let's start with the name of his latest myth, Decoherence. In the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics, decoherence is observed when all possibilities collapse into a definitive, measurable state. In the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, all past histories and futures exist and are equally real. In this interpretation, decoherence occurs when what we observe has severed connection with all but one of the many past histories. I find so many ways that this is seen throughout the myth. Firstly, the myth itself is a contained story happening to the Phyllis, Caleb, and MC. But at the same time, as seen from the event story, it is a VR game that Earth, Caleb, and MC are playing. I also want to point out that the endings to these stories are somewhat different. The myth MC and Caleb explode in a supernova, while the VR game MC and Caleb find a little blue planet to settle on. On top of that, the myth Caleb sees dreams about the life that the Earth Caleb is living and tells MC about these dreams. None of this goes against quantum physics because all these realities can't exist simultaneously due to quantum superposition. I actually came across a very interesting phrase on Reddit calling him Schrodinger's Caleb, implying that all these versions of him can exist at the same time and might even be the same Caleb. And if we take another step further and break the fourth wall a bit, Caleb does exist in all his forms and realities at the same time on our devices, and we, the player, are the observer that dictates in which state he will be in when we're playing, aka observing him. Continuing with the celestial theme, this is a beautiful definition given in the video info posted prior to the release of the myth. Supernova occurs when a star can no longer maintain stability through its internal nuclear fusion process and can no longer resist its own gravitational pull. A gravitational collapse occurs which leads to cosmic scale explosion. Then they add that supernovas are extremely romantic because a supernova is like the universe's passionate confession, an all-in commitment and sacrifice, incinerating itself for everything it loves, exchanging its own existence for the happiness of others. A supernova is a birth of energy. It represents not just destruction, but also rebirth. The aftermath, a nebula, becomes both the final resting place for the stellar remnants and nourishment for newborn stars. The atoms that burst forth from a star will always maintain a connection with their supernova. Even across different spaces and times, they share a single collective memory. This beautiful passage adds to the overall theme of connection that MC and Caleb share, be it in their attraction, their pull towards each other in all space and time, their ability to find each other again and again and reappear in each other's lives, and simply to the fact that Caleb's evil is gravity. It also talks about rebirth and change, which is a huge topic in all Caleb-related stories. In the lucid dream myth, he goes through constant modifications by ever becoming a different Caleb, yet somehow he is still Caleb and his love is still there. In Decoherence, both him and MC also go through continuous modifications being the cyborg ultimate weapons, and each story there's a literal explosion that marks a clear before and after of their story, a change, a rebirth. I think it's extremely romantic that the explosion in the end of Decoherence happens when they finally truly give in into their feelings and the construo and mismatched destructio energy do what they're destined to do. Create limitless energy. By the way, there's a theory that the supernova explosion that Caleb and MC see when she gives him back the necklace is the same one that happens on Phyllis when they kiss at the end of the Decoherence myth. And the resulting black hole is the one that Xavier's ship, Trace Back 2, gets sucked into and which creates the Deepspace tunnel. Knowing how light travels in the universe, I actually believe it is a solid theory and at the very least a great testament to how interconnected Enfold's world is and how it gives us so much to be able to form these theories and connections. Next is something that has been pointed out a lot, but it's still worth mentioning, that the story of Caleb and MC in Decoherence is an inversion of the Edenic myth, where MC is akin to Adam and Caleb to Eve. He's the one who provides nurture, but also the first one to awaken. and want to escape the garden, or the lab in this case, and their creators. There's even a fruit of knowledge that, despite not truly bearing any, represents enlightenment and literally glows. And the MC carries a seed, which Caleb gives her with her after their first escape, that helps her remember the encounter, plant some doubt, and act as a guiding star and a memento of their promise. Of course, this fruit is a representation of the Apple of Eden, but also apple is Caleb's symbol, because it is also connected to Newton and gravity. Once again, it's just so beautiful how it all ties together. If you didn't notice in the event story, Caleb puts apple stickers on himself and MC, so they're a set. Here, I would like to point out that it seems in all scenarios, Caleb is always the first to awaken or become aware of the dangers around them. According to recently released story Serpent's Cast that explains the origins of Viper, Caleb was aware he was being hunted while he was still at the academy, but of course, as usual, he kept that hidden from the MC and chose to remain silent and bear all the pain alone. Just like he did in Lucid Dream with the Turing chip and how being close to MC could trigger his emotions and hence the chip, just like he didn't immediately tell her that his arm was losing the sense of touch, and just like in Decoherence, he figured they were the triggers for each other and that proximity was bringing their demise and the mismatched energy, yet he always chooses to bear the pain and smile through it for her. This is a personal opinion, which you might disagree with, but this facet of Caleb gives me so many mixed emotions. On the one hand, I admire his strength, resolve, loyalty, and love for the MC, his desire to protect her at all cost. But I also hate how he chooses to be the martyr, keeps her in the dark, and never considers how doing so is often exactly what pushes her to do reckless things. I really wonder if the story would have been less turbulent if only he told her more. Let her know what he knows and how he feels, let her truly be beside him. But then I also understand that his actions is exactly what desperation and fear would make one do, and that without this overwhelming desire to sacrifice everything for her, he probably would have had no strength to live through the truly tragic circumstances he is forced to endure. Speaking of tragic circumstances, both on Phyllis and Earth, Caleb and MC did not have a happy childhood. Both are either orphans or potentially artificial creations with no parents who are forced to be test subjects from early age, and each time it seems their escape is temporary and they only have so much time to enjoy freedom. And in the end, they never really have anyone but each other. In Decoherence, Caleb says that they're from the same source. I have seen different interpretations of this, like them being from the same source code, or being tangled together as the embodiments of constructive and destructive energies. But I would like to add that I think the statement is also true for their shared childhood. They share the path, the hardships, life together from the very beginning of their lives, both on Phyllis and Earth, and I think that makes them connected and being of the same source in a way even more than just their physical origin. And this also poetically plays into their dynamic of the gravity between them, yet being fated to be exactly what destroys them. Which reminds me of another scene in Decoherence that connects to the lucid dream myth. In both stories, the couple visits an amusement park, though in one case it's a working one, and in another it is but a ruin. It is still a place where they can share some blissful moments before literal fighter jets come in. And last but not least, I love the inclusion of the elderly trader Helen in the Decoherence myth and how it somewhat mirrors their grand Josephine. In the prevalent theme of childhood in their stories, when I was playing, I was wondering if Helen and her grandson were supposed to represent the experience Caleb and MC had while being raised by Josephine on Earth, a representation of an actual happy childhood and the purity and the bond you get to develop with a childhood friend. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'm sure there's still plenty of details that I missed. Don't hesitate to leave comments below with your thoughts or anything else you might have noticed, and don't forget to check the supplemental links in the description.